about this saga, before we even get to the problems, the complaints around incorrect billing, why are you sending these sorts of messages to motorists now? It's just a month. I mean, that's hardly time to get into arrears. The system was controversial in the first place. This seems like the worst PR in the world.
Well, we've had complaints about these thousands of complaints from motorists, from our friends in the media. And today, I actually spoke to about 3 media houses, and I said, can you forward these to us, at least that those that are going, that are coming via the media houses. It's about past 8 now. I haven't received any. There's urban legends that are created around the billing crisis. And
but
we
can
understand.
I stop you? OUTA says they have 400 to 500 of these complaints. Several of the newspapers have heard from motorists. Do you think that everybody's just out to get you and is making this stuff up?
Well, if OUTA has got those complaints, they haven't reached Sanral, but they are very much welcome. They're very much welcome to forward these to us. There are complaints. But let us not forget that what we are dealing with when it comes to OUTA, there's genuine customer complaints. There's customer complaints dressed up, right, as genuine, but we know they are opposition to tolling. OUTA has got a bloody nose that they are nursing, and after we've been to court with them on 3 occasions, and therefore they'll go out of their way to project the system as not working. We are not saying there are no complaints. There are complaints. We're very much willing to look at those complaints, but that there is a billing crisis or that these run into thousands, it's actually a figment of people's imagination.
Okay, but Vusi, can we forget OUTA and forget the complaints to other newspapers?
You brought them into the discussion.
I have spoken to my colleagues at the SABC who are disgusted that they're receiving these messages that seem like threats, that they're being told that they are handed over. Again, my question is, why are you sending out these messages early? Isn't this terrible PR, considering the attitude towards Sanral at the moment? Please.
We can deal with that, right? Sending out SMSs, it's normal debt collection procedure. Sanral is not the first state-owned entity or business in South Africa to send out reminders to those who owe money to it to say you need to pay so much.
Handed people over.
No. You see, that is the problem. There's a lot of misinformation going out there and masquerading as expert opinion. What do we mean by handing over? The system allows you to have 7 days before we actually hand you over, not even to external lawyers, to a system within Sanral that basically categorizes you as a violator. Now, this handing over business, we don't know where it comes from. In fact...
Well, I read the messages. People don't know. So it seems like a threat. It sounds serious.
No, it doesn't.
You've got to admit that.
No, it doesn't. Because you know what would happen if we don't send people reminders, right? And 3-4 months down the line, we surprise them with the bill. It's going to be a huge PR disaster. People are going to turn around and say, why didn't you tell us this? Yeah. We've now accumulated interest. Why didn't you tell us early? So we are doing it, right, so that we avoid a situation where people get into areas and they accumulate a lot of interest. But critically, we're also doing it because we want to afford the motorist an opportunity to settle early. If you settle within 30 days, you'll qualify for a discount. Now, can you imagine us sending out messages after the expiry of the 30 days and we're telling you qualify for a discount? Motorists are going to turn around and say the 30 days has expired.
The messages I saw didn't actually talk about that discount. Don't you think you've missed an opportunity to send out charming New Year messages, say, please get an e-tag, we'd like to save you money. Really, try and get motorists on your side rather than antagonize them.
We actually have motorists on our sides. I was looking at the figures this morning. In spite of the messages saying to people they shouldn't get their e-tags, we are sitting at 963,420. We are on our way to the 1 million mark. For the few that are saying this is disgusting, there's 963,000 people who have taken up these e-tags because they realize the benefits that come with the discounts, right? They realize the benefits of not getting these irritating SMSs. If you don't want to get an irritating SMS, get e-tagged. Again, if you don't want to get an e-tag, just pay what you're supposed to pay within 7 days. We've got no business to send you a threatening or irritating SMS.
But Vusi, you're now, adding fuel to the fire, because OUTA has claimed that you're sending these SMSs so that people go and get an e-tag.
I thought you said let's not bring in OUTA.
No,
but if you want
that
this,
is a claim, and it's been made by others as well. I went on just to look at the registration system, and people are saying, if you phone the call center, you receive this SMS, you phone the call center, you say, I want you to receive a picture. They say, go and register online. If you register online, you have to buy an e-tag.
No, it's
is this
correct.
A drive to get people to buy e-tags?
That is not true. I was online yesterday with...
it says it'll take off 50 Rand or whatever. And
I was
you'll be
online
registered.
yesterday with one of the popular Gauteng-based radio stations, right? We tested the system live, right? And I said, press this, press that, because there was another opponent in the studio who was saying, this is just a trick to get people to register. And I actually demonstrated that you can check how much you owe without necessarily buying an e-tag.
Okay, that's interesting, because it does say
when people
you
don't
will be
understand, when
end.
people don't understand, we've got a call center, 0800 726 725. Don't make conclusions without calling the call center and saying, listen, I'm battling to navigate the system. Can you take me through? There's a lot of conclusions which have been made, unfortunately, by the blind leading the blind, and they're all going to fall into a ditch.
So you're not trying to bully people into buy an e-tag?
No, we wouldn't do that. We are a state-owned entity. We must act within the law. If we're going to bully people, the Constitutional Court, Thuli Madonsela will be on our case. We understand that very well, being a state-owned entity.
What about the claims that it's unacceptable to send people SMSs and emails without a proper invoice? Companies are saying they've received SMSs, not invoices. They can't access the invoice.
Let's deal with that.
Justice Project saying it's unacceptable. Do you believe that what you're doing is legal?
Let's deal with that, right? The sending out of SMS notices is not a substitute for an invoice. And the obligation to pay your toll fees does not arise at the point you receive an invoice. It arises at the time you go under the gantry. If you're driving down to Durban, you don't get to the toll gate on the N3 and say, give me the invoice before I pay. The same logic applies, right? In fact, in our case, we don't even say pay as you go under. The tolling system in this country, you can't pass a toll gate without having to pay there and there, and they don't give you an invoice. In our case, we're giving you 7 days to pay.
So you're saying you're not going to give people the invoice?
No. I've said sending out the invoice is not a substitute, right, for sending out the SMS notices does not replace the obligation on our part to send out invoices. It's part of our regulations.
And you will be doing that for companies and individuals.
We will be doing that.
Very quickly, you're saying this isn't a billing crisis. How big is the problem with incorrect details being sent out to people in other provinces, deceased people?
Well, I've heard the story of deceased people, and I saw your intro that we are sending to a number of deceased people. I've read about one incident. And here again, it's a reflection, I think, on lack of responsibility by citizens. If I die, right, the inheritors and the executor of my estate have got to change ownership of the vehicle. If they don't, my family is going to receive these irritating SMSs that I owe. And then we are going to turn around.
So are you claiming that somebody's driving that person's car? Or otherwise, why would they receive this SMS?
No, look, if I drive a vehicle, and God forbid I drop dead, my wife, my kids will be driving that vehicle next week, right? And it will be incurring certain costs, and they will get, and I will get, unfortunately, I'll be 6 feet down the ground, but I will be getting SMSs from Sanral. So as citizens, we've got to take responsibility. Those who are supposed, the executors of estates have got to change that. The inheritors of estates have got to change ownership. And in fact, it is the law in this country that if you're a motorist, you've got to make sure that your particulars, the ones that are in possession of the state in the innate system, are up to date. That's your responsibility as a citizen and not Sanral. All
right. Unfortunately, we have to leave it there. I do believe that many people are angry, but we appreciate your willingness to come in and take questions tonight. That was Vusi Moni, spokesperson of the South African National Roads Agency, or Sanral. After the break, car sales growth decelerated.